Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of River City 93. It is going to be the most fun episode we've done yet, and all of that is a lie. None of this has been happy. None of this has been fun. It has been an absolute crap weekend if you're a Kickers fan. But we're here to talk about it and talk about how Nebraska's the worst place in the world. Nobody should probably ever go there. And, bad. But got some guys here to be able to help us out with talking about bad. Shanir, how bad are you?
Crappy performance, crappy field.
Shanir is crappy. Welcome to the club. Gabe, how bad are you doing?
I heard that corn is actually bad for you. So I think people in Nebraska could just, continue eating corn, and Union Omaha can eat all the corn they want.
Excellent. And then, we got a newcomer today filling in for Elliot, who I don't care where he is. He's not here. But we got, Alex, also known online as League One Updater. Alex, welcome to this hellscape.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Not necessarily the response I would have expected today, but appreciate you being here anyway. So if you were fortunate enough to have better plans on a Saturday night than any of us, you might not realize that the Kickers went out to Omaha and lost 4-1. That doesn't tell the whole story, unfortunately, I don't think. But we'll help walk through all that happened, the brief glimmers of good, and the raging mass of bad that happened throughout the 90 minutes out there last night. I guess to start off with, you guys, we saw the starting lineup, same exact thing from the Chattanooga game. What were your kind of thoughts, expectations going in to last night? Knowing that coming off a win, going out to an Omaha team that's been up and down, and then you see this team come out. Gabe, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I was not super hopeful looking at the lineup, knowing that Hornsby was out again. He provides so much on the left side in terms of particularly attack. And though I was also kind of hopeful because there's part of me that was hopeful. Is what I mean is that that diamond formation with Joao kind of being more in that attacking role was something that I was excited about seeing. But yeah, no Hornsby meant I didn't think we were going to score many goals, and we did not.
All right, Shanir, any gut thoughts going into the game?
I mean, looking at how the previous week was against Chattanooga, I felt that it was a good idea to go with the same lineup because with a diamond 4-4-2 in the midfield is probably on paper more suited for a narrow field like this one. So I was like, okay, well, it's better to go with this than a 4-3-3 than we usually are used to, where we are attempting to go wide and attack from the wing. So this diamond formation in the middle will give us a little more oomph in the midfield and allow us to create more in the middle of the field because there's no point in using the wing. Unfortunately, that did not go to plan.
Yeah, say the least. Now, I think you pay a lot more attention to the rest of the league than any of us do. What were you expecting to see coming into this game?
Well, Sierakowski getting another start over Bentley Belmar Gordon. I like the guy. I'm glad Richmond picked him up. He's the best available out there to fill a need to give us some more depth. But we, should probably be realistic about our expectations with him being a journeyman from USL League One. But I was hoping he would do a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't all bad on Saturday. We had a few bright spots along the way, and let's talk about the positive first. Let's get the good going. And I want to lead this off with talking about our main man Emiliano Terzaghi, becoming they're having Star Wars night out there. So I mean he became Palpatine, in their eyes. He had a nice 3-minute spell where it might be one of the first times I've heard audible boos, towards a opposing player, in this league, and loved it. So why don't we start off with Emmy doing what he's been doing for the last month or so, and that's winning penalties. Alex, kind of walk us through what you saw on that play, that featured guy you were just mentioning, Ryan Sierakowski.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was legitimate. It's a legitimate penalty. I know there some people watching in Omaha might disagree, but watching it on television, I think it was a legitimate penalty. We do know that he's good at drawing those and sometimes acting. But that's part of the game sometimes. But yeah, I mean, like you can't let him, if you're the opposing team, you can't let him draw you into that. And they did.
Okay, Shanir, what are your thoughts on the play that led to the penalty itself?
With regard to the play that led to the penalty, I can understand a fan of Union Omaha being like, "Oh, well, he dives," but it was foolish. It was really, really foolish. Terzaghi is going away from goal towards the baseline. He's not heading towards your goal. Why even go down? Was my issue. Like, why even go for the tackle in that situation? He's going away from goal. There's no point in doing it. So that was just a foolish thing from the Union Omaha player. I can't remember what was the name of the player who committed the foul.
Swahi? I think it was
Swahi. I mean, in that situation, I mean, who wouldn't go down? You feel you're heading away from goal, and you feel a clip in the back of your ankle. I'm going down too. Like, why are you even going for that tackle? So it was a legit stonewall PK in my eyes.
I would add the play leading up to the penalty was solid from us. Joao played well in the midfield, played a great ball to Sierakowski, who then cut it inside to Terzaghi into the box. And Terzaghi in the box, as we know, is super dangerous. And so he immediately drew defenders onto him who saw him as a threat, and they clipped him, and Terzaghi knows to go down in that moment. He legitimately could have been tripped as well, but I liked the play leading up to it. I liked Joao in the midfield there making that pass to Sierakowski, and Sierakowski, earning that penalty assist, if you will. And so, it was good play leading up to the goal.
Yeah, personally, I'm not even sure if they called Suahi or Nuhu, for the foul, because they both kind of converged. The two, Omaha players and Emmy all kind of ended up in the exact same spot, because I think the ball took a little bit of a deflection on the cross too, and that's what kind of led it into the weird spot, on the field. I'm not 100% convinced that full contact was made, but I also don't care. I've complained about this for a couple years on here, that for a 3-time MVP, does not get many calls. So yeah, he's starting to get some. I'm not going to backtrack on any of that. It all evens out, and maybe it's evening out now. But yeah, so he steps up, hits the penalty, just rolls it right in the corner. and takes it to 1-1 at that point. We'll go back. Maybe we'll go back and talk about why it wasn't tied up at that point already. But then that celebration, coming right after that. Yeah,
I love the celebration from Emmy. You don't really see him do too much in a celebration after scoring. It looks like he often does the heart with his arms. He lifts his arms up, creates a heart towards the camera or towards his wife in the stands and his daughter, I think. So, loved to see him a little bit more animated after scoring a goal. The flex was strong, and I'm here for that. I'm here for Emmy, becoming a little more animated, doing something a little bit more than kissing the badge and the heart stuff. So it was good. It's an A+ from me in terms of celebration.
I mean, it's giving it right back to the crowd that's like booing him incessantly right there. So I mean, that was good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Kind of fun being the bad guy sometimes, and I'm all for our guys, leaning into it as long as they're not actually, being the big giant dickheads. Omaha took care of that today, which leads us in the next.
Oh yeah.
Which leads in the next portion of Emmy, the Omaha villain, featuring good old secret kickers agent Joe Gallardo. Our former guy coming back. He knows where his heart is, looking to help out the boys. And what was it? 2 minutes after the penalty, things are looking really up for the kickers all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, Emmy definitely drew that. He instigated it, got the yellow for it. But a head motion like that with contact is a red card every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shanier, what's going through Good Joe's head in that moment? What? How did you see that play out?
I mean, I just think I think Joe may have had a situation where he allowed the fans to get into his head. Like the fans for those 3 minutes are just booing Terzaghi and making him out to be a villain. And I think Joe kind of got carried away into that, and Terzaghi capitalized on it, got into his head, and Joe made the mistake again. Foolish of him to do, but what you're gonna do if you once you allow someone to get in your head like that, it's only a matter of time before you're getting sent off.
Yeah, so paint the picture a little more clearly. Things all gone out for like a throw-in or a corner kick. It doesn't matter where the ball was really.
Yeah, I think it was a corner. Point. Yeah.
But it looks like Emmy just starts jawing at Gallardo. It didn't seem like anything too much, really. And they do end up doing the kind of face to face, forehead to forehead, dumb old macho guy, bit that you see a lot. And Gallardo decides, all right, right now while the ball is dead, right in the line of sight of everybody, I'm just going to push forward with my head a little bit, against the guy who has a reputation for maybe finding his way to the ground relatively easily.
I mean, A+ acting. Did the job.
Yeah, definitely.
So after they sort out all the fracas, Gallardo gets sent off. 40th, 41st minute, something like that. Like Alex mentioned, Emmy picks up a yellow. I'll make that trade every day of the week, right? Emmy's probably going to pick up a yellow. Most games anyway. He seems to be 50-50 for getting booked. So if he can get booked and pop another guy off the field, we'll take that.
And at this point, things are looking up.
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling optimistic right at this moment, right? And to kind of rewind things a little bit, this not going in a sequential order by any means, up until the team equalized, I was not feeling optimistic in any way in that first half. It was rough, and kind of a harbinger of things to come, later on. So, overall, that first half hour, 35 minutes before the score got tied back up. What were your overall impressions? And then we'll kind of, if you all will bring it up on your own, we'll talk about the goal. But how are you feeling? Up until the penalty.
Up until the penalty, it looked like Union Omaha, used to that crappy field, kickers had no idea what they were getting into. It seemed like, for some reason, still trying to go wide, and they were doing this the entire game, still trying to go wide. And when a field is that narrow, going wide doesn't help you because you're still within the crowd of the middle of the field because there's no width, there is no space.
You would think
as much on the. I mean, you would think yes, but I think the difference between the way the kickers were using the width of the field and the way Union Omaha were using the sidelines was we were taking it as our go-to, while Union Omaha were more so drawing us into the middle and then quickly getting it out wide to cross it in. When the ball went out wide for us, it stayed out there for a while before we even thought of crossing it in. By then, everything is crowded. And there were a lot of opportunities, even in the second half as well, but there were a lot of situations where kickers have the ball in the midfield and there is a giant hole just outside the 18 where no one is, like not a single white jersey in that area, or I mean black jersey in that area. And it's like, okay, can we use that midfield? We have a diamond. If we have a diamond, let's flood that midfield. And we flood that midfield, we can push them back. We now have, which is very unkickers like if you go historically, we now have players that can hit long range shots. We have players that can hit it from outside the 18. We needed to start using that, and we did not. We did not use that at all.
There were a couple of shots that we took in the kind of early part of the first half, outside of the 18. I think Joao tried to hit one. They were
was deflected by Zaka, I think.
Yeah,
almost wrong-footed.
They weren't. I mean, they weren't good, but they were giving us that space, and so I would have liked, like you said, Shanir, I would have liked to have seen us use that space a little bit more. My impression leading up to the penalty was that we just looked asleep at the wheel, man. I mean, Omaha was beating us to every ball. They had a ton of good chances, or at least it felt like a ton of good chances early. I think it was 3 or 4 like really great opportunities. First half, Will Palmquist stood on his head. If I could say like a player of the first half, probably Will Palmquist is that guy. Made a couple, like one particularly great save, and was just a strong presence there in the net. But yeah, just looked asleep, didn't look prepared, looked like it was the first time playing on that field, which I had a really hard time understanding. I mean, Darren's been going there for 3 years with these teams. I don't know what happened. It's almost as if they forgot that the field would be that narrow again. It's not changed in 3 years.
Yeah, it hasn't changed, but I think one thing is I think the quality of the field also was pretty poor. I don't know if they were taking a page out of Charlotte's book. I don't know if any of you caught some of the Gold Cup matches. I mean, those fields were dire, and it was almost that bad. Like you could see the ball didn't have as much bounce. The ball wouldn't roll as far as it normally should, or as fast as it normally should on a soccer pitch. It just the field was bad all around. It was crappy field, like I said, crappy field, crappy performance, and then the width didn't help. The lack of width, I should say, didn't help.
Yeah, Alex, what else do you see in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I really don't have much to add beyond that. Palmquist definitely carried him through the first half. But yeah, we looked unprepared. And like you said, like we looked like we hadn't been there before. And I don't know what the excuse is there. They couldn't use weather for the excuse. It was an absolutely perfect day. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and transition into the start of the bad. with all this, for the first goal, but also even throughout the first half, crosses and corner kicks just seem to be an absolute kryptonite, for our defense. And correct me if I'm wrong. I was pretty sure that's supposed to be one of our strengths this year is defending, flighted balls, right? So early on, Mesa had a header that he probably should have scored on. That would have had no chance on. Luckily was able to see it go by his post. Had another cross that came across, and Akoff just absolutely skinned Meacham. Was able to get a good shot off. That's the one Gabe was referencing with the quality save. Unfortunately, it was a corner then, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here. JP Skier's known for being good in the air. Correct, Alex?
Yes.
Seems to be where he gets a lot of his goals usually, and
one of the best.
Somehow looked to me like he was either a free man or Meacham was supposed to be on him on a corner.
Yeah, Meacham was on him. Meacham got bodied on that one.
Meacham got dunked on.
I don't know if on him was
the
right term, but yeah, and I'm trying to think of okay, Mesa is maybe a these are maybe like Suwai or somebody coming up, but I would think that you still want a Dakota, an Alney, a Sukos, one of your strong aerial players on the proven goal threat coming off of a corner.
Yeah, Mesa is a short guy, but he can jump.
Yeah, but so that was
he absolutely jumped over Fitch.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. But yeah, so that was disappointing, like slightly understandable, but I think the how was a little bit disappointing for me. As I've watched the replay back, I don't blame Will on that goal. Part of me also wonders, could he have possibly got a hand to that? I'm not going to kill him on that one, for anything.
Nah.
But yeah, the camera work was also an interesting choice.
Questionable
throughout that play.
Yeah, questionable angle. I don't know if we would have been able to see, because what I would have wanted to see was maybe a view from closer down to the ground where we could see how much the ball lobbed or rainbowed over Will's hand, because it seemed like it was one of those situations where Sears actually just got like a good header on it to get it to kind of loop over and still get under that crossbar. But again, like you said, the camera angle was just not going to let us know whether that was the case or not.
Yeah, gotta love the producer making the choice to go with a, ISO on the ball camera cut, midway through the kick. What a choice! What a choice!
We love our league.
Well, we don't love the production of the video quality most of the time.
Usually it's bad.
better than not being able to watch it.
I mean, that is true.
Put it that way.
I remember the days of being overjoyed when you get a dial-up, audio-only webcast, trying to find away games and everything, and it'd be, you think our audio production's bad here. This is like 10 times better than that garbage that we were listening to way back in the day. All right, so anything else on the first half before we move into easily the worst half of the year in a long time?
Yeah, nah, nothing more really from the first half for me.
All right, then let's hop over and drown our misery in here. So one change of the half, Jake Meacham comes off. Chris Cole comes on. On the one hand, for me, you guys, love to hear your opinion on this. I totally get taking Meacham off because he was terrible in the first half. And he's probably not doing much to win over Darren because he lost Payne in that Madison game a few weeks ago. Got, like you guys mentioned, got pretty much dunked on this corner. He got torn up by Akoff throughout the first half. So I get taking him off. I don't understand putting Cole in there at that time, knowing that you're up 11v10.
That's one question mark I had. Another one was how deep in the second half Zaka was playing. Zaka was playing like a third center back for most of the second half, and that I don't know if that was an intentional change from Darren, but it's like you're playing against 10 men, dude. You shouldn't be taking a guy out of the midfield to put in the back. You need to be taking a guy out of the midfield to make as a more of an attacking midfielder. Or if Zaka doesn't, if you don't feel that Zaka can do that, put Dwyer on for Zaka and have him play further up. Play with no 6. Play with 2 8s and a 10, or an 8 and 2 10s, or something where you are more aggressive. You are pushing on the attack more, because with them playing a man down, they should have been on the road.
Especially with Belmore, Bentley, and Gordon on the bench there as options.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would I would add that, I mean, there was not another defender to put in. I mean, like, if you're going to take Meacham out, like, Cole is your only option to put on. I think I honestly would have just preferred to see Meacham stay in the game, and then go really attacking minded into the second half. Ditch the 4-4-2 diamond. You know, it's kind of been a fun experiment, but like, you're up a man, like, go for the win. Like, let's go for the win on the road. You've played more games than anybody else, so every time you can get 3 points, you know, by being up a game in the standings in the table, it's really valuable to get these wins. And so, you know, if we could have seen Belmar come on sooner, if we could have seen maybe Gordon come in and just kind of help out the attack, you know, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah. So you know, the sub comes on, and again, feel fine at the start of the second half. It's like, all right, you know, we're up, you know, up a man, leveled up. Shouldn't be too bad, right? Can't be that bad coming up. It was bad. It was actually bad as possible.
To be honest with you, we looked like the team playing with a man down for majority of the second half, and that was. I mean, it was baffling me how badly we were doing, and I can't even say that, oh, you know, Union Omaha, because what I was expecting a tough grind. I was expecting us to maybe end that night with a draw, because as we look at the track record of this Kickers team, look at last year, our playoff game, we are a man up early. The other team goes a man down early, and literally they park the bus. Once a team parks the bus against the Kickers, we're not scoring. And that has been the case on several occasions. So I was expecting Union Omaha cut their losses, maybe try and catch us on the counter if they can. But when you look at the goals they scored, they were kind of counterattacks, but with plenty of time for us to get back and defend, and we did not do it well.
The other thing is they were all almost the same goal. They're all almost the same goal over and over.
Oh, pretty much carbon copy. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
down the right side.
Yeah, I mentioned you know, Jake Meacham had, you know, a rough first half. Yeah, Chris Cole possibly had the worst half I've seen, you know, Kickers player have in who knows how long. The guy looked like he was in, you know, cement shoes the whole time. Quicksand, pick your favorite, metaphor, you know, there. But you know, he's getting blown by, you know, on the wing. You know, not, you know, blocking cross, and wasn't doing anything. We might have been better off playing with 10 guys and having Chris Cole out there.
You hate to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's harsh, but it was that bad.
I mean, especially against Omaha. I mean, these guys, if you give them the chance, they are talented at putting the ball into the middle. Akoff, Sears, like those guys will do it every time.
Yeah, and they did.
And we let them.
Yeah. So 3 minutes into the half, you know, they, you know, cross the ball, and to the point Chenier was making, they're crossing the ball wide open guy to wide open guy, down a man. It's like, and it's not just like pinging the ball around the back, wide open guys. They're playing, kind of the nice longish long ball from last year, over and over and over again, and continuing to find that space, continuing to find those openings, and we get back to what Alex, you mentioned, about 5-10 minutes ago. Noe Mesa, little guy who can get up, and he gets up and wide open and pretty easy header, to make it 2-1.
Yeah, Simon Finch was the only one there, and he was able to easily just get over him. Ani was not close enough, and it was just the right place, right time, and Mesa's going to do it.
Yeah, I think it was a compilation of two mistakes, because at this point you're looking at a situation where Chris Cole gets beat, Barneson has to shift to try and cover, Ani shifts, and I think Fitch shifted late, and which is why Mesa is able to get up with no challenge. Yes, Fitch was there, but he was running in. He was late, so he didn't have a chance to actually get his feet under him to actually jump. So it's unfortunate. It's like literally a domino effect, and that's why we're really missing Hornby back there, because Hornby is solid enough that you don't have to have that domino effect happen over and over again. The players are shifting well. I mean, Fitch was a little late on that one, but the fact that they had to shift because Cole got beat is what killed us on that play.
Yep.
Yeah, and defensive cycles back. Like, you see Suko a little bit at the tail end of the play. Where's Zaka at? Where's Zhao at? To be able to help out, because in the midfield also mostly invisible the entire second half. Like, once we made subs later on, Gabe Cox made a little bit of an impact when he came on, but otherwise, again, a midfield 4 up against 10 men, you think they should be able to control things a bit, and at least takes the sting out of the game. And they're basically invisible. How does that happen? Like, why is this 4-4-2 not actually producing anything other than penalty kicks?
To be honest with you, when I think about it, it's basically we've gotten used to wide players being farther up the field. And in a 4-4-2 diamond, your wide players are basically your fullback. Your midfield 4 are midfielders. If you look at the 4 names in there, they are all central midfielders. They're not.
I think we lost Chenier there for a second.
Sorry, they're not. Oh, sorry, my phone decided to do something weird. They're not wide players, and when you look at our front 2, they're central attacking players. So our width is coming from so far back, and from so far back that they cannot be fully in the attack because they have their defensive responsibility. If you're going to do a 4-4-2, you should just have to just chalk it up as 2 midfielders and 2 outside midfielders, outside wingers. I don't think the diamond really works for us with the way we play and with what Terzaghi needs as a striker.
Yeah, I think it can work if Hornsby's actually playing, because he can actually get up the field. Simon doesn't really do that. Chris Cole certainly doesn't do that. And this team refuses to attack up the middle anyway. Like, everything goes wide, no matter what. Always it goes wide. Like, so not a great combination. That comes out of that then.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like in the second half we were bound to have no attack. When Chris kind of made that sub for Meacham, because Meacham had, like, as bad of a game as he was having, like, he like one good transition moment could have gotten him back in the game, because he's super fast. Like if there's one good transition moment for him to make an overlapping run, we maybe could have seen him turn things around, and we maybe could have seen comes
No, I
on.
lost it.
Oh,
Oh, you're back.
okay. we as soon as Chris Cole comes on, it just feels like our attack goes down the drain.
Now, do you all think that there should have been a substitution after the second goal?
Probably not right after. It's only the 48th minute right then. But I think, as you get closer to maybe 55, 60, I know we're going to get ready to pile on for goals 3 and goal 4, but what difference does 3 or 4 make? At that point, you might as well go for it. And when does goal difference really ever make a difference at the end of the season? The points mean more.
Yeah. I think, you're right. I think around 55th, 60th minute, I'd say just scratch it and get us back into our 4-3-3, get our width further up the field, let our fullback just defend. And that way you have a more balanced situation against a team that's down a man. I think would have been a little better and would have been able to put Union Omaha more on their heels, and rather than making them feel that they can come at us with 10 men.
Well, that didn't happen. So instead, kept going. So, I'm not blaming Will. It's going to sound like I'm just piling on Will. I'm trying not to. And I don't blame him for not saving that Mesa goal, unless he has it right at Will. It's not getting saved. What I do wonder is if we're missing Akira right there, to try to light a fire under the ass of the defense at that point, because we know Akira will work. We know that, he's literally a coach on the field, but we know he's not going to, take anything, from his guys, and, he'll put them in their place if necessary. I don't know if Will has that in him, quite yet, because as I think we, at least 2 of you all have mentioned, it looks like the guys were asleep out there. And I wonder if, Akira's on the field, if that helps make any level of difference with that.
You do wonder what, like, Akira's leadership ability, like what kind of impact that has. Because Darren has raved about his communication ability and how, like, how his communication sets up the defense and sets up the team really well. Is like, he's also talked about Will really growing in that area, but you do wonder, I think Akira just being way more seasoned, much older, literally a coach on the field, you think that, I mean, it's a good point. I think probably his leadership and his communication ability on the field it could have made a difference,
Might have stopped the bleeding.
Perhaps, yeah. It may be a 2-1. Who knows? Yeah.
All right. So, already brought up, this team can't defend. Or normally they're okay at defending corners. No, not yesterday, because should have given up another one right off a corner. Dos Santos hit, admittedly, nice, kind of side volley that I think it was Zhao cleared off the line. Why does he have that much space? That's my question on that, to be able to, hit a ball clean off a corner with your feet. That shouldn't happen as an attacker. And then, the parade, down the Omaha right side, just terrorizing our left side continues, and eventually it leads to the third goal, which I am chalking up to ball watching and slow reaction times. Alex, what do you see on there?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that in my notes specifically, that they were all over us on that right side leading up to that goal, just dominant. We looked like we were playing with 10 men, right? Like specifically right there. That was like the biggest glaring example of that. Dos Santos fresh off the bench, We know he's older, but he's still very, very talented and physical. That was just a perfect storm for Omaha to score a third goal.
Gabe, you see anything that stood out to you on that one that you want to mention?
Again, getting beat on that right side, on their right or left, I think they just literally targeted that side the whole game, because you saw it also in the first half against Meacham. It's a bit telling and worrying that even after we make a substitution, Union Omaha still feel that they can pummel us on that side of the field. Normally, if, for example, you were to have a player getting, having a bad day at the office and the other team is targeting that player, the second half come around, you sub that player out. Most of the times you would see the opposing team try something different until they can test that player out. In this situation, they were just like, business as usual, boys. It doesn't matter who's over there. As long as it's not Hornsby, we're good. And that's worrying.
They had done their homework, and they knew that Hornsby was not going to be there. And they looked like they had practiced for that. Yeah,
and it's worrying that no one can step into that position and at least kind of hold their own and make another team feel like, all right, well, we need to just have maybe a plan B. It didn't look like Union Omaha even were interested in trying to figure out a plan B, because they knew plan A was going to work.
Yeah, why change if it's working?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we blocked the first shot for Mesa's first shot, and then Dos Santos is right there. I mean, it's just, if it's there, it's
Yeah, I mean, it looked to me like both Ani and Suko were way too slow to react, to the rebound coming out. Suko, it looked to me like he cleared the ball right into Dos Santos' leg and it went in. I couldn't tell if that actually happened or if Dos Santos just got there a fraction ahead of him and put it directly in himself. Either way, slow on the jump, slow to react in the box once again, and story of the night. And this is the point where Darren makes all the changes. He takes off Emmy, he takes off Neil, he takes off someone else. Doesn't matter. Sierakowski. Yeah. Brings on Belmar, brings on Bentley, brings on O'Dwyer. How do y'all feel about these subs?
I mean, at this point of the game, it looks like, you're down 2 goals, I guess, with, is it about 15 minutes left in the game at this point? 20 minutes? 20 minutes,
20,
yeah. It feels like we're conceding the loss at this point, which is still super frustrating when you're still up a man. Like, you would think that there would just be some level of fight in this team, but it felt like as soon as Omaha scored that first goal, we got punched in the mouth and then didn't respond at all. And so, I guess there's some props to be given to Darren for like giving these guys a chance. Hey, to say, hey, Terzagi's on a yellow, Neil's on a yellow. Sierakowski, provided a penalty assist essentially, but let's see what these 3 can do.
And we have Charlotte coming up next week.
We got Charlotte coming up next week, which it's not a must win in the true sense of playoff position at this point of the season. But if you don't win that game, you feel, I don't feel the best as a fan about how the season is going to go. But yeah, it just feels like we conceded the loss at this point, and basically tried to salvage next week's game against Charlotte.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It definitely seemed like Darren was just like, this is a wash. Let's see what these guys can do, but we got to pull Nil and Emmy at this point, so we don't risk losing them for next week.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that portion of it.
Yeah, it seemed bizarre as it was happening, and then then thinking that through. I get the coaching decision there.
I don't mind the logic.
Yeah. The Emmy part, I get it, but the optics of it don't look great. I don't care if he takes Neal off. Dude's done nothing since he's come back from injury. He made one penalty.
Yeah, he created a bunch of chances last week. But yeah.
I mean, production is way down from last year.
Even before the injury.
I don't think he should be turned into the lineup. Let's put it that way. Like, the team was looking better without him.
Yeah. Unless I don't know if there was maybe an adjustment made with the way we played when he was injured that he now doesn't fit into. If that was something, that'd be something I have to look a little deeper into. But we do know the weaknesses that Neal has is pace. He has none. He's got the foot skills, he's got the vision, but pace is what he lacks. And I don't know if maybe the way the midfield plays now kind of adjusted to the fact that he wasn't there and is trying to use pace a little more maybe. And now when you plug him in, he's completely lost in that situation.
Yeah, and he can still be a good player for this team, but we have not seen the 2021 or 2022 version of Neal Vinyals yet this year, and I think this team really needs that if they're going to do anything, really.
Yeah.
Yep. They scored again later on. That second goal, basically the same one, except he kicked it in this time instead of headed it. I don't know if we need to torture anybody else with, going through how our guys sucked on another, crossed ball. Now let's move on.
I felt bad for Gabe Cox. It happened it wasn't his fault at all, but it happened right after he came in.
Well, you bring him up. Let's talk about that because I think that was another little bit of a spark, a little bit of a good takeaway from the game. So, Gabe Cox, our 18-year-old midfielder, academy kid, comes in, and he didn't look out of place. I didn't think, and he almost scored.
Yeah, had a really good shot.
Yeah, so actually forced a high quality save out of Nuhu. And I feel like he was involved in another shot. They got blocked and some other mess around the box and a little bit of a flurry that was going on, like the 85th-ish minute.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he and Bentley and a little bit with Belmar definitely injected a little bit of energy in that last 15 minutes. But I mean, too bad they were stymied by Nuhu.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't have minded. I mean, seeing how Gabe played in the last 15 minutes or so, I wouldn't have minded seeing him come on earlier. Just seeing what he provided. I mean, there's hardly a way of knowing that. We've seen very little of him this season. I wasn't on. Made some good passes. It's nice knowing that you have another guy in the midfield that, like, God forbid, like Joao go down or somebody else go down, but like I like him coming on in the midfield. I wouldn't mind seeing him come on with a little bit more time, maybe in the 60th minute in the future.
Yeah, I think the last couple of games where he's come on, it hasn't been a ton of minutes, but he's shown his place and
he looks like he belongs.
Yeah, and he certainly does. And he doesn't look like he doesn't belong. Maybe that's even more important. Again, can't say for everybody, on Saturday, because there are definitely some passengers on the field.
Definitely.
Yeah, is Gabe is he still academy or is he full on the full roster?
I think he's on an academy contract.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's still a little bit limited, right?
Well, it's in case he wants to play in college.
Yeah, just his eligibility.
Yeah.
So.
And I kept trying to figure out where that second red card came from for Devon Willis.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out, okay, so why did he get a red card? Did he say something? Because I saw the AR was pointing him out to the center referee when the center referee came over.
Yeah, he was
pointed him out.
He was on the side warming up. He was on the side warming up and said some choice words to the referees, and they gave him a red for it. Yeah,
they were just
you
about
don't
to
see
have
very
a free
often,
kick.
but
Yeah. Well, here's the big picture. What kind of
considered a bench
moron do you have
red.
to be? Be warming up, jawing at the assistant ref, over a call when you're up 2 goals. Against a team that looks dead in the water. Right then, like, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you doing? Right then, like that's if I'm the Omaha coach, that dude's going to my doghouse right now. Yeah, he's going to be suspended.
Yeah, you saw it.
Don't bother coming the next couple either after that.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. There was another player warming up over there, but he was looking at him like, "What the heck were you doing?" Like, and you could see him point out, like he did that gesture, like 2 fingers to the side of the head, like you're not thinking, dude. Like, why did you even do that? So apparently, he was alone in his stupidity. No one was defending him there. All of the other subs were looking at him like he had 3 heads. So that's what I was trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, but even more infuriating, Omaha has the 2 absolute knucklehead moments of the game, and they still roll us.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, this is to be honest, like this is the Omaha that I expected this season. I think they started slow in the first half. I thought they were going to be way better than they were. I thought they were going to be playing like this. This is, like I said, this is the exact Omaha that I expected this season.
Yeah. So
unfortunately, they figured it out against us.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, Shanir, you made reference to this earlier. Darren got a little pissy with me at the end of last season when I asked him this in the post-game question, but this team consistently bleeds goals against 10 men. They did it in the playoffs against Chattanooga. They did it in the regular season against Chattanooga. They bled 2 against NoCo in a regular season game last year that thankfully they got the 3rd and came back and won. I don't understand how this consistently happens. That going up a man actually ends up being a net negative for a team. Like, I'm not no response necessary. That's just me venting of how does that continue to happen. So
I think it's like I talked about at the end of last season is we do not know how to break down a low block. Once a team parks the bus, there is no way we're scoring. We still try, and that causes our players to move up the field and leaves the space in behind for us to be caught on the counterattack. In this game, it was even worse because they weren't even catching us on a straight up counterattack. It was they countered, took their time, and then carved us open. And it's just one of those situations where you look at, I don't know if there was some tired legs going on out there, but there was a lot of disconnect going on. A lot of, the game did not look good on the side of the kickers at all.
Yeah. And for me, if it's a one-off thing, fine, it's a one-off, but it's clearly not a one-off at this point. Earlier in the year, the only other time I think that the kickers who were on the good end of a red card out in Fuego, and different game state, they were holding on to a lead, but they were under fire for that 15 minutes. You're right then, and seemingly barely holding on for life. Again, not apples to apples, comparison, but I just don't get what it is, about Darren's teams and why playing against 10 men is just a poison pill. We can move on from that though, rather than dwell on that. Anything else from this game that you guys care to mention? Anybody else you want to put on blast? Omaha players, our players, the announcer who apparently had the golf weekend off.
I think we just didn't. I think what was frustrating about this game was we just did not see any fight from this team until Gabe Cox comes on with 15 minutes left in the game. Like I mentioned it in passing earlier, but we get scored on early, we get punched in the mouth, and then we just laid down and let them keep hitting us. And it just didn't feel like there's any sense of urgency coming back. I mean, the reality of it is it's one game. It's an opportunity missed for sure. It is one game. We're still sitting in fourth in the table, albeit having played one more game than just about everybody in the standings. But it's an opportunity to turn around at home next week.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that Cox and Bentley did inject some great energy into the last few minutes, forcing Nuhu to really make some quality saves. Too little, too late. And yeah, there's there's a lot of questions that need to be answered before Charlotte next week by this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And a big one centers around is Hornsby coming back,
Yeah, that's. I think this is a problem that I feel that we've had consistently. It's a pattern. Anytime a key player gets injured, it's like the entire team kind of falls apart, and you see a domino effect around the field from that player's injury.
Particularly a fullback. When we lost Stu at the end of last year, our attack was diminished. When we lost Ian Antley in 2021 and in 2020, our attack also was diminished. Darren's attacking system relies so much on a strong attacking fullback. If we don't have that, we're just not we're not going to score goals.
Yeah. I think those should be the two positions that are the most contested in terms of competition. Because at this point right now, if that's the system you're working with, you can't have two guys who say, yeah, I'm definitely starting. It needs to be enough competition that if you take one out and put another in, it's not that much of a difference. So, I don't know. This is
CBA era.
Huh?
Don't know that's going to happen in the collective bargaining agreement era.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, we're that ship has sailed. But I mean, in terms, huh?
We need to develop them in the academy. We need to see some fullbacks come up. We need that. If our academy guys don't come up and prove to be talented, and it's a bleak future for us realistically.
Yeah. Get two really good fullbacks and hope they don't get injured.
Yeah, so
that's not.
Well, let's go and try to put a bow on this game before we start looking ahead to next welet's go through the very short but also very tough challenge of putting out our top threes for this week. I mean, you guys need a minute. I'm happy to go first because I already went through this brain exercise.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got mine too.
All right, Alex, you're new to the game. Why don't you lead us off here?
All three or just my top one?
I'll just do all three at once.
Emmy for the goal and for the first half being the one who is making things happen. And then I'm gonna go with Gabe Cox and Matt Bentley.
All right, makes sense. Gabe, what's up?
I'll say Emmy gets my 3 for scoring a goal. I'll say Will Palmquist for his first half of play. I liked the way that he played in the first half particularly. It's hard giving a keeper putting yeah when he could when 4 goals are scored on him, but I'm seeing the forest through the trees. He had a great first half. And then I'm going to go Gabe Cox in my 1 because there was energy injected as soon as he came in.
Schneer, what you got for us?
Very similar. Giving my 3 points to Emmy. Drawing a PK, scoring the PK, getting a player sent off, and just being the all-around villain in an away game. He gets the 3 points for that. The 2 points, I think I'm going to give it to Gabe. he came on and was electric. And for someone so young, coming out of the academy, that's a big shout. And I'm gonna give my 1 point to Will for his first half performance. As a goalkeeper, when your defense is really that bad, you can only give one half of heroics before it starts to catch up with you. And that's, at the end of the day, that second half, there's not really much you could have done about those situations. The other team, our defense was just atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, mine are very similar. Emmy first because 3 points because literally who else can actually be who else actually did anything positive for more than like one little blip during that game. So Emmy almost by default. I also gave Cox my 2 points because he did a good thing on the field, and this game a good thing merits 2 points. And then I agree with Alex. I gave Bentley my 1 because he hustled.
I mean, he had a couple quality shots. Knew who worked for it. And that's something we need to see more of from Bentley. And I mean,
he's another guy who he's got to start turning it on a little bit more. Like we're 17 games in the season, and he's still got a goose egg, on there. That's not what we need from him.
Exactly.
So yeah. All right. We've talked about where the kickers are in the standings, quite a bit. Right now they're sitting technically fourth place. That won't last as other teams play games because we played the most games in the league. But Alex, you're kind of League One guru. Have a pulse on what's going on throughout the league. What should the kickers be keeping their eyes out for, and what should fans be looking at over the next few weeks throughout League One?
Well, depends on what Charlotte does tonight. Charlotte is currently playing Lexington. That to me, that's a toss-up because of the way Charlotte has been playing, and Lexington is like one of those teams I think could beat them again, having already beat them once.
They're actually 1-0 up against Lexington right now. Just scored.
Okay, who scored? And let's see.
Kelly.
Okay.
Dane Kelly.
You mean USL Championship all-time leading scorer Dane Kelly?
Yeah.
We're going to hear that a lot next week.
Yeah. He was my preseason pick for Golden Boot, and that we see how that has gone so far. Not how I expected. But yeah, Forward Madison has a string of 1-0 victories that has put them at the top of the table. Solidly put them at the top of the table right now. I think, Charlotte cannot. Nope. Charlotte could go into first place if they win today. But let's see.
Charlotte will be at 26 if they win. They'll be.
Oh, is it 26? Okay.
Just past us.
Okay. Northern Colorado, I think, is on a tear right now. I know they drew Chattanooga yesterday, but that is something that often happens at home against Chattanooga, or when Chattanooga's at home. But I mean, I see them as like one of the top talents. Them and North Carolina FC are still my picks right now for 1 and 2 to finish the league. But Omaha right now is, as we've seen, they've had 5 games without a loss. Greenville's on the way up. These are 2 teams that struggled early on and are kind of getting the momentum going into the second half of the season. So that the parity right now between like 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly even 8 Knoxville. And then if Tormenta gets their stuff together, that could be a tough race for those last 3 playoff spots. And Richmond has got to they've got to get it together if they want to stay ahead of that pack and remain in this contention.
It's a weird spot right now because it's not like the top teams are out of sight, but also this team had played that well lately. And I mean, you look at the top teams in the league. Like you have to go all the way down to Greenville to find a team that this team has beaten so far this year. So doing a good job of picking up the points off of the bottom quarter of the table, but that's only going to take us so far.
Yeah, and I want to say our schedule gets a little bit easier in the second half, but then of course that's dependent on some of these bottom of the table teams. Are steadily improving. But who do we have coming up? We've got Charlotte, Hailstorm,
at NOCA, that'll be tough.
Yeah, and then Lexington again. So
not going to be a easy track forward. Need to start stringing together goals. Hopefully not relying on the refs seeing the penalties, because last 4 goals have all been penalties.
Yep.
Again, nice that we're getting them finally, but it's probably not sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So it's coming Saturday. Kickers, home against Charlotte. Big game. We just went through it. How it's going to, be a fight, for likely 4th, temporarily in the table. Coming up.
Yeah.
We've seen them twice so far this year. First, game was a boring 0-0 to open the season.
Yeah.
And then they got us. Home opener. They 2-1 game right there. So hopefully even up the season series. Hopefully it's another great crowd. At City Stadium. For as up and down as on the field has been this year. The ticket sales team has been absolutely killing it. All season long.
Yeah.
Let's keep the track going for eclipsing 5K average for the year. Well on track for that right now. Guys, any other thoughts leading into Saturday?
Do we make any changes to the starting 11? Like say with Bentley, Belmore, Gordon in favor of Sierakowski or Gomiro?
I feel like you have to do something different, right?
Yeah, I would say we need to go back to the 4-3-3. The past couple of games, I don't know if I'm convinced with Sierakowski being a starter. I don't think I'm convinced. Like he was completely anonymous yesterday against Union, and it wasn't that memorable against Chattanooga. So I don't know if the 2 up front is working for us. I think we need to get ourselves back to the 3 in the front, like we had before, because that's when we were showing, and we're going back to City Stadium, a regular sized field, so we can use our width.
I'd like to see Belmar back in the starting lineup. Comes on for 20-ish minutes yesterday. Hardly he comes in the game a little bit against Chattanooga, and then he's out of the team. So we're looking at 3 games in a row of very little minutes for him. I'd like to see him back in the team. I feel like he was starting to provide a little bit on the dribble, particularly as he approached the box. So, it'd be good to see him, see him play well.
All right, then any other thoughts or comments to round us out before we sign off here tonight?
I think we're good. Let's get 3
That's
points.
A no. All right, we've said our piece. I want to thank Alex one more time for hopping on, filling in Elliott's chair this evening. Alex, people want to hear more from you. How can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm a League One updater on Twitter. That's League with the number 1 updater. League1updater.com. That's where you can find my work. Yeah,
he does a good job of providing maybe in my opinion a little too unbiased take throughout the league. We could up that Homer content a little bit. I think that'd be great. But seriously, he does a good job. Great place to be able to go to check out what's going on around the league. If you don't want to spend the time watching ESPN Plus reruns or scouring Twitter or Threads or wherever the hell people are going to put information nowadays. Alex, good guy. See him around City Stadium, as well. Gabe, Chenier, thank you guys as always. Listeners, thank you for listening to our family therapy session tonight. Hopefully, everybody was able to get out some of the stuff just like we did, and hopefully we're not doing this again this year. Hopefully this is the one for the year, and then it's all going to be smoother sailing moving forward. Again, thanks guys, thanks everybody. Look forward to seeing everyone out Saturday night, City Stadium, and we will talk to you next time.
Okay.